All right, here we go. Okay, so I read most of your homework, and if I don't touch on it during class, then we'll talk after class. So when we put more emphasis on the material, right, rather than the spiritual, when we are driven from the material world, then the masculine and the feminine energies begin to kind of mix. And the male energy is the one that's dominant because it's more being more assertive, but not in a very positive way. And so when we get to a point where we value business and details and tactics and all those things more than emotion and relationships and the heart, is when we lose our female energy. And it's really easy as women to lose all of that, where we need to get things done, right? 1, 2, 3, we need to get things done, and we forget that there's a person in front of you. And you need to connect to that person no matter who it is. So one of the ways that we need to focus on staying in our female energy, in our women energy, is relationships. Don't forget about relationships. It's like the most important thing. So I was reading this week about, I didn't know the women's brains are bigger. Did you know that? Women's brains are bigger than men's brains. So the dominant part of a woman's brain is Bina, right? We've learned it before. It's Bina. And Bina is understanding. It's comprehension. So it says that the Creator gave women extra measure of Bina. And this is, of course, the woman's brain is larger, which I really didn't know, so I'm happy that I know that now. So she can study better, so she can communicate better, so she can go deeper into it. So don't forget that it's not, okay, now let's have an ego because we're smarter and we have bigger brains. It's what we fill our brains with. We need to make sure we fill our brains with the emotion and not just the getting it done. And then after that is Gvura, right? So we have Bina, Gvura. Why Gvura? Because women have judgment. We spoke about it last week, that women have the essence of judgment. Women tend to be more judgmental. And it's true, a group of men get together, nobody looks at what they're wearing and what they're saying and who, they could care less. Women get together, it's a party of Lashon Hara. It's a party of what did she say, and what did she do, and what did she wear, and where did she go, and it's judgment, complete judgment. So we need to be careful because we have the gift from the Creator that we have extra Bina, we have extra brain, if you want to call it like that, extra wisdom. But then on the other hand, we have Gvura, which we have judgment. So we have to be careful with the judgment. And if you use judgment the right way, then you can bring mercy. What does that mean, judgment the right way? Meaning you can see what's wrong with someone. Doesn't mean you have to say it right away. And it doesn't mean that you have to say it straightforward. But there's a time to say it, there's how to say it, there's if the other person is going to accept it. Because we see things fast, we feel things fast, doesn't mean we have to share everything. There's ways to do it. There's ways to do it. And then the last unique part of the soul is Hod. And Hod is radiance. Okay, so women radiate, they're beautiful, they radiate their beauty. And beauty is the combination of all different kinds of colors, right? That's why usually women like to wear, not me, unfortunately, but women like to wear a lot of different kinds of colors. And it's usually according to how they feel. And we'll learn about that also, about the colors you wear and what it means. So while men are more kind of independent and they're not so worried about what they're wearing and what colors they're wearing, women are more intuitive. This is mine, sorry. I just have to make sure that I'm on the right time. Okay. So one of the things people overlook a lot is judgment, the judgment of a woman. A woman's need for security is where the judgment comes from. And people were asking me, how do I make sure I'm whole? The first thing you need to work on is your security or your insecurity. Because once you come from insecurity, it brings judgment. Because right away, what's the way that you cover yourself when you're insecure? You judge. People who judge are not secure. If you're secure, you could care less what the other person is wearing or what the other person said or how they looked or what they looked at or what they were doing. Who cares? I know who I am. It doesn't matter. So the biggest contribution that women can give is to focus on building herself spiritually, physically, emotionally, all of that, and to stay in tune to the Creator. And today, because a lot of people were asking me, I guess people saw the recording, they were asking me, okay, what do we do? Because women are, what do we do? Okay, so, so we're going to talk about assertiveness, and we're going to talk about not forgetting the connection between people. So the first thing in behaving in an assertive way is body language. So no matter who you're with, a lot of women kind of paint the picture that they're shy or they're embarrassed, or even if they're not, because they think that that's the way you're supposed to be. But you have to be aware of how you carry yourself, how you're talking, who you're talking to. And it's not just men, it's with anybody. So if you make eye contact with somebody, if you hold yourself, up high, if you're actually talking to the person and you're not on the phone texting and you're not looking down, but you're actually eye level and not being afraid. Because the minute that we show a body language that doesn't match, it says that the most important thing is that your head and your heart are in the same place. And a person can feel when you're saying something, but you don't mean it. It's like a robot talking. I don't remember, I was at my daughter's graduation, and one of the girls was up there, and she, the speech she gave, oh my gosh, she was projecting, and she took a public speaking course for sure. And after the speech, I turned to my son and I was like, well, what do you think? And he's like, she's a robot. She was saying these amazing words, and they were big words, and she had a presence, but there was no heart. And then yesterday at the graduation, when my son's friend was talking, you could just, I was crying, because he really felt it. He really meant it. And I think all of them yesterday it was all from the heart. There was a big difference between these graduations. And the funny thing is, my daughter's graduation was a girls' class. My son's graduation was a boys' class. And you felt more heart with the boys. The girls were so insecure, and they were so afraid of showing who they were. And they were afraid of making mistakes. And the boys were like, oh my gosh, we just finished 4 years. We need to share. And everything was about their heart. And that's what we as women need to be more of, is using our body language, using our eyes, not being afraid of showing who we are. It's okay to be vulnerable. You don't have to be superwoman. There's no such thing. Because if you're a superwoman, then the man, I once we were teaching a class for parents, and I told them, listen, if you pretend that you're perfect, your kids are going to be under so much stress to be perfect, because they're going to think they need to be perfect. But if you share with them the stupid things you did when you were a teenager, then they won't be as afraid. I mean, you don't have to tell them that they can go do everything, but you need to share with them. And it's the same thing with a human relationship, because the first thing you can tell is if a person is not real and they're trying to be someone they're not. So that's the first thing in assertiveness. I hope I have enough time. I'm talking really fast. Okay. Second thing is to express your opinions without apologizing. But then we're going to go to another one, because a lot of people have an issue with this on both ways. So there's expressing yourself directly, but you have to remind yourself that everybody has an opinion, and not everybody needs to agree. And you don't have to cancel the other person to say your opinion. You can still believe in what you say. You can still stand up for yourself and say what you say nicely with a smile, but you don't have to cancel the other person. It's okay. Not everybody agrees. Everybody has their own opinion. But don't be afraid to say what you think in a positive way. So can I offer a suggestion? Can I, is it okay if I tell you my opinion? But not with hesitation and not with canceling the other person. I understand where you're coming from. This is what I think. Doesn't mean the other person's wrong. Just say what you feel. Or instead of saying I don't agree with what you're saying, you can say, I understand where you're coming from, but what happens if we try this? Or maybe you can think about this. And that way you're making the other person feel comfortable and you're not imposing yourself on them. And at the same time, you're keeping who you are. Always be true to yourself and be open to other people's opinions. You never know. But you also don't have to change. Let's say you hear someone's opinion and you agree with them, right? But you've just had a debate for 15 minutes and they finally convinced you. So there's two things. If you're secure enough, you're going to say, you know what, you finally convinced me, I agree. If you're not secure enough, but you agree with them, you could always say, you know what, let me think about it. No, you don't have to answer to anybody right away. Nobody. There's no urgency. Nobody needs to know anything right away. So, but as long as you're true to yourself, remember, the most important thing is true to yourself and the human relationship. The next thing is make yourself clear what you want. This is such a big thing. What do you want? Not what does the other person want, not what's good for the other person, not, I had a conversation last week with someone, and my whole conversation with them was just say what you want and I'll make it happen. And he said to me, well, what does it look like for you? And I said to him, but it's not about what it looks like for me. What do you want? No, what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, you'll never get anything. Why do we tell people to write down goals? Because if you don't know what you want, you can't ask for anything. How are you going to know what to pray for if you don't know what you want? Now, if you're going to get it, yes or no, that's a whole different story. But be clear on what you want. This is what I want. Don't say, I was thinking, maybe. What does that mean? I always tell people, there's no such thing as half pregnant. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want a relationship because you want to be with somebody? You don't want to be alone? Or do you want to be in a relationship so you can build something together? What do you want? Even that, you need to be clear in. And whatever it is, it's fine. Just be clear at least with yourself, and then you'll be able to be clear with others. And if you have to write it down, write it down. What do I want? And maybe not everything that you're writing down is really what you want. That's also, okay, what do I want? Why? Why? Until there's no other why. That's what you want. I want money because I want security. I want security because. What's the last thing? The last thing is what you want. But don't, tell me what you want and then we'll see what we can. No, what do you want? If you're going to get it, if you're going to have to negotiate for it, whatever it is, that's another story. But what do you want? That's so important. And then there's the learning to negotiate. This is so important because a lot of women can just give up instead of negotiating. And this is with anything, with a relationship, with where you're going, with how you're doing it, with what's important to me. So when you're in a negotiation, what's important to me? What am I willing to give up? What should I give up? What should I be a little bit more flexible with? And what am I not willing to give up? And, do your research. How much are you willing to have leeway to still maintain your position, but say, okay, this is what I want. And this isn't just a negotiation with money or a negotiation, it's everything. I'm the worst at it. I used to have, Yehuda used to call me when they were little. They used to send Yehuda to call me and say, can we stay up another hour? Because they knew I wouldn't negotiate with him. I would just give in. The three of them knew. They knew who was the one, or they knew exactly who was the one to ask me for more food. I would give in. Who was the one to ask me to stay up? I would give in. They knew exactly that I wouldn't negotiate. So people know exactly what your weak spots are. Yeah, it's hysterical. They used to send me him, it's 9 o'clock. They were little. They were 4, 6, and 8, 7 maybe, and we were in Boca, and they would call me in the middle of an event when they knew that I wasn't even listening. Can we stay up another? Sure, it's fine. Oh, it's fine, stay up. And then they would all stay up. So even this one would stay up even though she was 4. She would stay up with her 8-year-old brother. So negotiation is so important, where you need to know what you want, what you're willing to give up, what you're not willing to give up. And if it's in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with someone, what's important to you? Is spirituality important to you? Is going to a certain place important to you? Is, I don't know, getting a text from them important to you? Whatever it is, and then what are you willing to do? Because once you start negotiating, you got to be there on the other side. What are you willing to do? Okay. Questions? Okay, we'll keep on going then. Changing your mindset. Changing your mindset is a very, very, very important thing because, okay, so allowing yourself to be angry. You're allowed, so you know what I tell people? You need to be angry. You have 5 minutes on the clock at 12 o'clock till 12:05 to be angry, and that's it. Instead of keeping it in and keeping it in, and then you blow up, and then everybody around you suffers, and it's a day, and it's 2 days, and it's no, 12 o'clock to 12:05, and letting it out. Go to the beach, not on anybody. Go to the beach, go outside, go somewhere where nobody can hear you. Let it out. You have to let yourself be angry. And it's okay to feel what you're feeling. You can't deny it. But once you've let it go, you have to let it go. And then you can come back and say, okay, why was I angry? What buttons were pushed? What did I do wrong? Why is this person annoying me? But you can't say, I'm not angry. You're about to like break someone's neck, but I'm not angry. No, you let it out. But let it out when you choose, because if the anger takes control of you, then you're reactive. If you choose to be angry, again, it's like with kids. If you're educating someone and you're playing that you're angry at them, it's okay. But if you're really angry at them, then you're being reactive. You can scream at somebody and, put a face on and not be mad at them at all. But if the anger already took over, then you're being reactive. So wouldn't you rather choose when to be angry? Okay, I know every day it's in my schedule, 5 minutes, I have to either be angry or sad or whatever it is, and let it go. And then you go back and you sit down and you think, okay, why? Why am I angry? Who made me angry? What's going on? And that's better than just blowing up at everybody. Next thing is having a mindset where we're all working together. So you should always look for the middle of working together, especially when dealing with friends. But you have to know that you can't always make everybody happy. It's impossible. It's impossible to always make everybody happy, because what happens is you become a people pleaser, and then that's not fun. It's not fun. So if you're in a situation where you're like the glue to the family or the glue to the relationship or the glue, am I making everybody happy because I'm a people pleaser? Or am I trying to work all together? And when you work all together, then we're back to, okay, what's your opinion? What's your state, where do you stand in your opinion? What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? And it all goes back to the relationships of, if I know who I am, I have no, if I know my hair is brown and you tell me my hair is green, I'm not going to get upset because my hair's not green. So it's not going to do anything. But if someone, if you're sitting at a table with someone and they insult you, what's an insult? An insult means you're not secure. An insult means that maybe you believe what they told you. But if you know who you are and they're telling you something and you know it's not you, who cares? They just want to say it? Okay. Can't bother you. Because if it bothers you, it means that there's something there that you haven't confronted in you. And of course, there's all different kinds of, there's the extremes but in a regular conversation, if someone says, oh, I don't like your hair. Okay, well, I like my hair, so if you don't like it, that's okay. It's your opinion. But we fall into the little details of he said this way, and he said this that way, and she said this. Who cares? I mean, we're not going to waste our life on how it was said if you know who you are and you know what you want. Know who you are, know what you want. So important. And don't forget there's a human being in front of you. There's a human being in front of you. So they're also getting their feelings hurt and they're also insecure. I don't know anyone who's 100% secure. Nobody. And everybody acts out differently to cover their insecurities. So either they need everybody to know who they are because they're insecure and this is the way they're covering it, or they don't want anybody to know who they are, and that's, an obvious insecurity. But everybody has insecurity. Everybody. Who told me? You told me it's like an interview. To go out on a date is like an interview. It's terrible. So yeah, an audition. So you're auditioning, but why? Just have fun. If you know within 5 minutes that you're never going to see this person again, have fun. Have fun. At least enjoy it. You're out to dinner. You know you're not going to go out with this person. Enjoy it. Talk to them. Learn their whole life story. Who cares? You should really only care if you know you're going to go back with them. Then you start with the insecurities. But if you know you're not going to go back with this person, which really I don't understand unless they're really like mean or repulsive, or how do you know you don't want to get, like, I don't understand that. One time, I feel bad for them. One time. Unless they're ugly and sloppy and not nice and cheap, and if you have all those four together in one date, I feel bad for you. Run away. But if they're not, you have to give them another chance at least once. Because everybody's insecure the first time. So I don't know, unless you know for 100% that you're not going to see this person ever again, have fun. Who cares? I'm never going out with them again. Have fun. And the next one is to understand that if you're on a date with somebody and maybe there's a chance of seeing them again, how do I make this work together? You don't obviously have to share your whole life story the first date, but at least have the mindset of, okay, I want this to work together, not I want this to work for me. If you want it to work for you, I don't know, hire somebody. Seriously, it's not a date. Hire somebody and they'll do everything you want them to do. But if you want to be in a relationship, it's work and it's together work. And it's not, okay, does this person fit A, B, C, D, E, F, G that I just put out for myself because this is, come on. It's not going to happen. Like I used to say, if you want that, take a picture of whoever you like of the actors, put it on the wall, and there you go, you're good. Nobody is perfect. Nobody has everything. Like they have all the money and all the looks and they're very educated and they know how to treat you. It's impossible. I'm sorry to tell you, it is impossible. Impossible. So where are you in your mind? Where are you in your mind? Next thing is not to feel guilty of anything. If you feel guilty, it hacks away at who you are. No guilt. So maybe tonight, maybe your homework is, where do I feel guilty and why? Because that takes away from your self-esteem. It takes away from your self-esteem. The minute you start feeling guilty about things, that's it. Because they're negative thoughts, right? So if you did something, let's say you were rude to somebody, okay? And you spoke really not nice to them. Instead of taking now 24 hours and sitting about it and calling your friend and venting and text them, sorry, made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. But if you're going to feel guilty over it, what for? It's a waste of your time. You're punishing yourself. You're not punishing them by feeling guilty. They might be upset, but it's going to pass for them. You're the one staying with it. So just apologize. And if there's an issue there, at least you're opening the door to talk about it. And the other thing is, and I know it's hard for us, but ignore other people's negativity. Because we all are faced with negativity around us. And instead of trying to change somebody or fix somebody or call them on something where you know it's not going to help. Because first of all, you should never do it in public, ever. If there's more than one person in the room, you can't do it. Like it's against everything. You can't do it. And if you feel that that person is going to listen to you, take them in a place where they don't feel threatened or uncomfortable and talk to them. And you know when you can do that? When it's not about you. Because then you really are coming from a place of that you want to help this person with the negativity. And none of us are angels, I'm sorry to tell you. So it's better to ignore it, especially if they did it to us. what are we going to get out of it? To be mad at them? There are people who don't even notice that they're doing it, and they do it. And there are people who aren't, they're not mean, but they just have this negativity around them, and they don't know how to get out of it. If you want to help them, that's fine, but you got to protect yourself from their negativity. You can't go. Have you ever seen the movie What Dreams May Come? So he couldn't go down to bring her up. Right? So you can't go to someone's negativity to take them out because you might get stuck there. I don't know many people who can actually go down and then come up. So you can throw them hints here and there, but ignore the negativity because it's not good for you. It just completely affects who you are and your self-esteem. Let me just make sure. Okay, thank you. All right, you guys have questions?